Hi folks, with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to take a moment to depart from politics and so on and talk about, we've had some friends that recently went on a decent road trip and they were complaining about the amount of times they went into, while they're traveling, short-term accommodation. It could be Airbnb, it could be like a trailer park or a rural motel or hotel, that type of thing, and saying how they thought that the adverts rarely represented what they found when they got there, that there were unstated conditions that were only stated when they paid the deposit and when they'd arrived, and it was too difficult to sort of get out of the arrangement, and so they had to put up with it, and they were, as they saw it, they had the choice of either demanding and insisting that the conditions that they accepted were still valid, rather than were the arguments worth it? They're only staying for one night and so on. So these sorts of things. Now, I looked at a couple of sites of people talking about their short-term accommodation and their holiday or vacation type accommodation. A lot of complaints there, and the complaints seem to focus on a narrow range of issues. There are some outliers, but the majority seem to want a narrow range of issues. And my wife and I, as sort of regular road travellers, we like getting in the car and getting out into the great outdoors. And so we frequently stay at short-term accommodation, Airbnb and the like, so hotels and so on. So we've got quite a lot of experience. We figure about 10% have gone bad, but most of them are okay. So just looking at my own or our own experience there and what sort of things went wrong. So I've got a few Airbnbs, because sometimes the prices they offer in the Airbnb are pretty good, or we know that the hotels in the area are pretty ordinary and they want big bucks. There's one we stayed at that had just recently in a city, a small town, maybe 5 to 6 hours drive out of Sydney, and the towels they had, you could see through the towels in the bathroom. You could see through them, and the internet didn't work, and this and the so-called breakfast included was stale sort of cereal with sour milk in what looked like something where hobos were at work. it was fucking diabolical. So anyway, so just having a look at this we did one Airbnb, and they had it in their advert, we enjoy making you feel like part of the family, and some touchy-feely cozy stuff like that. So we get there, and we're just about to go out the door to get some dinner, and the guy's husband and wife, the guy says, well, we'd like you to have dinner with us tonight. We like to, when we have our Airbnb people there, that we treat them as guests, and we'd like you to have dinner with us, and and we enjoy interacting with the people who come and stay. So, all right then, well, sure. So I responded, what can I get? Like, can we go and get a bottle of wine or something, or can we bring something along? No, it's all right. Everything's taken care of. So we thought, all right then. Now I didn't. Both the husband and wife, they're not socially gifted, either of them, and so I think this was the only way they could meet people outside of maybe their immediate family or something like that. I think this was, their social interaction with the wider world was this, and I don't think they had any real ability to sort of make friends or anything outside of this sort of thing. So anyway, so we had dinner, which was fine. We'd have been happy to go out, but so realizing that we were again really being brought into part of their social scene, I particularly took the view that, okay, we might as well work for our dinner and try and be as entertaining and chatty and as as friendly as possible. So I put in the extra effort, and you kind of had to work a little bit harder because, again, these people don't have a lot of social gifts. Friendliness and interacting and small talk and bantering doesn't come easily to them. So I kind of did most of the heavy lifting on that. Anyway, then the dinner's over at about we're chatting and they seem to be happy, and then I suppose about 9 o'clock or so, give or take, and he fixes both of us with a stare and said, "Okay, well that cost us $100. Can you pay half? Where's your $50?" And we were quite taken aback by this. You invited us to dinner as your guests, so if you'd said at the outset, by the way, come and have dinner with us and it'll cost you $50, we would have declined and we would have gone out and done our own thing. But now you're presenting it to us after the fact, so it wasn't offered to us as in our discretion to make a decision one way or another. You've invited us as your guests with the implied promise that we are your guests and you're putting dinner on for us. We're paying to stay here anyway, and now you're saying we have to pay half of it. So they were you ate the dinner, like you had the dinner. What's your problem? Why are you now complaining? Didn't you enjoy the dinner? I mean, don't you like us? And it was that they went sort of down that, or him rather, not so much her. They went down that path. I sort of ummed and ahed about it and thought, why the fuck should we have to pay? Now it's only $50. It wasn't even $50, by the way, but it's only $50. But so I mean, who cares? It's to keep sweet with them. Why don't we just hey, here's the $50 and we know next time. But I didn't like the deception that was part of this. They inveigled us in to join them for dinner. On the basis that we had to now pay half. They didn't stay that at the beginning. It wasn't even hinted. And I offered to bring wine, and one of the reasons he gave was, we put on the wine, you drank it. So, hey, we said we'd bring the wine, and you said no. So anyway, we're only staying the night. So, no, actually we weren't. We were staying 2 nights in this place. So I did seriously and ah about saying, "No, that's no good. We're out of here." But at that time of night, it's very difficult to get another place without us paying more than we would if we stayed. So it was sort of a no. I could deny them the $50, but without deriving a benefit for us, a corresponding benefit for us. So I said, "Okay, all right, you have your fucking $50." Then another sort of 10 minutes goes by, and he says, the guy again says, "Look, are you going to help with the washing up or the tidying up?" I think was the word he used. No, again, we haven't discussed it. Is that some? Well, we're not your servants. We're not here to wait on you. So you can do our dishwasher isn't working, so you can either wash the dishes or dry them up. You get to choose here which one do you want. And him and his wife shot a glance at each other, and the wife didn't seem too happy. And I thought, this guy's trying it on. So we said, no, we're not going to do it. And if you want that, then you have to state it clearly. These are conditions that you're imposing after the fact, and we don't accept them. So there was a bit of a hard stare across the table, and then he decided it wasn't worth pushing the point, so we let it go. We couldn't arrange something, alternative accommodation, short notice. We ended up staying the 2 nights, and but they invited us to have dinner the next night. I thought, you got to be kidding me. Like we're gonna go through that fucking bullshit again. So that's an example. And I tried to explain to the guy, look, if you want people to come and stay here, and you want to have dinner with them, and you want them to pay half, and you want to do the washing up, say it in your fucking advert. Just make it clear. If it's clear, then people can choose to whether they want to participate in that. he came back and said, well, if I say that, firstly he tried to say, oh, there's not enough space, I can't do. No, don't give me that. Then he tried to say, well, if I put that in there, then people may not want to stay. But once they're here and once they're in the place and they've paid the deposit and they've paid the money, then there's much more likely that they'll do it than if they've got to choose beforehand. And so I said, well, yeah, that's right. But it means your advert accurately portrays and describes what it is the service you're offering. And surely that's important. He didn't seem to think so. He thought it was quite acceptable to deceive and to omit, probably more omit than deceive necessarily, but he thought that was quite okay. And what's wrong with that? Well, why? Why do I have to state it all? Why do I have to put all the facts out there? He thought, well, the option exists for somebody to say no, they don't want to have dinner. And again, I pointed out to him, look, if you'd said that you wanted the $50 and washing up, we wouldn't have had dinner with you. And so that still comes back to having an accurate description. So that's one example. This is another Airbnb one we stayed at, where when we get there, again, you've paid the deposit, you've paid the money. It's hard to unwind. You pay a penalty fee for it, and again, when they're going to put difficult conditions on you, they don't tell you straight away. The minute you walk in the door, it's not in their advert, and if we started making a point of calling them up and having a telephone conversation just to verify the key facts. And we find the people that are determined to be duplicitous and omit key facts, it doesn't matter. They don't put it in their advert, even when you press them directly on the phone. Are there any other conditions you want to mention now? Oh, no, nothing. So we found this is just, people are just dishonest in that. Well, not everybody, but some are dishonest in that way. So this one was at the height of summer, and it was particularly hot summer. So air conditioning is important, particularly in this place where they've got the afternoon sun on the windows, and there's not much of an overhang from the roof. So you get full sun pretty much for the whole afternoon. So the place is going to get hot. Anyway, we get there later in the afternoon, and we obviously want to put the air conditioning on. And she comes around and says, "Look, air conditioning is not included in this." Now I always keep a copy of the advert, so I whipped out the advert and says air conditioning and So she says, if you want to use the air conditioning, you have to pay an extra amount for it, and you have to pay us a bond now if you want to use it. And then, whatever we say the cost of the air conditioning was, we'll keep the money and refund you the balance, in the months to come. You've got to be kidding. So I pointed out that, hey, it says in your advert that it's got air conditioning. Oh, it's got air conditioning, and there is an air conditioner there, but we didn't specifically say that you could use the air conditioning, just that there is air conditioning. No, sorry, no. So it came to the point where they were threatening to, if we didn't pay the bond, they were threatening to kick us out, and I was threatening, well, you'll be talking to a judge and a court, which rather rattled them. I don't think they'd expected that sort of response. And I was annoyed enough that I would have done it as well. But I said to her, and her husband came over, and she's all big and tough until I pushed back, and we pushed back, my wife and I, and then suddenly she has to call for the big hairy-chested He-Man husband who's going to put us in our place. And fuck off, you prick. So the point was, I said, look, if you want to charge extra for air conditioning, that's fine. No one's disputing that if you want to do it, but you need to state it in your advert. You need to make it clear. And we called you on the phone to talk about it. We specifically said there any other conditions, and you didn't mention it. Now, if you want to charge $1 billion, it doesn't matter for the air conditioning. You go right ahead, but put it in your advert. I mean, no one will ever stay here, but that's not, put it in your advert what the conditions of the accommodation are. Then we, as prospective, overnight tenants or guests, whatever you want to call it, we get that option to make the decision: do we want to pay this extra for air conditioning or not? And if you put that in your advert, then we wouldn't have stayed here. And I could see from the look on her face that she knew that. And that's why she attempted to scam. And it was a fucking scam of trying to gouge for extra money if you want to use the air conditioning. I think she'd artificially lowered the price of the accommodation and was just trying to make it up through various acts of deceit and trickery and so on in that case. There's two examples. I could go on and give other examples. I'll do one more. This was again, these things are easily handled if the description is sufficiently clear. This was a place of direct access to your own self-contained room, and it's bathroom and this, that, and the next thing. It's all and parking and so on. So when we got there, again, it was later in the afternoons. We had very limited latitude to organise something else. This is a longish road trip, so the car's loaded up with all sorts of stuff. And I was doing a bit of work as we go along, so we had computers and goodness knows what in the car, so we just couldn't leave it. So the parking was probably 30-40 meters away from their driveway in this Airbnb again. So I said, you got parking here. We didn't say it was parking on the driveway or the inside or in a garage. We just said parking. And no, you've got parking. You're advertising a property here, and you pay. The parking is not on the property. It's a fucking mile down the road. That's not. You should state that the street parking 35 meters from the driveway. You should state that clearly so people know. The direct access wasn't the door that you had to go through was on the street side of the house, whereas the so-called self-contained room was on the far side of the house. Quite a big house, actually. So you have to sort of walk through various rooms and corridors to get to there. It wasn't self-contained. The bathroom was over the other side of the floor. Again, decent-sized house. And the so-called this tea and coffee making facilities and a fridge was there, but that was yet in another corner of the house on the other side. So there's nothing self-contained about it. And then I pointed this out, and they sort of shrugged. Well, it's on the same floor. What's your problem? I said, no, it's not fucking self-contained. I didn't use the F word, but it's not self-contained, and so you need to. But again, I got pushback. Why should we be clear about it? Why should we be specific about the facts when that specificity will put people off? And so we want to get people staying here, and to do that, we have to tell some lies. Hey, who cares? We have to sort of burnish the truth. We have to take a wide view of what accurate information really is. So these seem to be the problems. But I just want to talk a bit about generally advertising in any sort of accommodation, where say in holiday letting, where you want to let a place on the beach, we've noticed, and this is absolutely rampant, that adverts for beach direct beach access and only 10 meters to the beach, and the golden sand will be between your toes and just a few steps out of the door, and these sort of things. Whenever we've looked at those, we find that, in fact, I can't remember even one exception. Whenever we've looked at those, we found that as soon as we apply for it or even make an inquiry, the response is, we've just rented it, we've just let it just 5 minutes ago. 5 minutes ago, I just put the phone down. Isn't that incredible? But we've got another place. And this is only 100 meters from the beach, and it just has to be double the price for the one you missed out on. So there's a bait and switch thing, which is a rampant way of doing business on all these, certainly the holiday lettings, beach type houses that we've looked at. We haven't found one that hasn't been, and so we think this is just a widespread, and there's no real consumer type group or organisation will go and sue these people. for this false advertising, and we think that's just the way things are. And coming back to the people complaining about the accommodation, as far as I can tell, it comes down to this failure of the property owners, whether it be Airbnb or a hotel owner or something else, to clearly state what the criteria is. And we've got my wife and I, we've got a very clear, we want to be able to park in the driveway. We want, preferably some sort of undercover parking. We want direct access. There are things we want. So we look at the adverts that offer that. And if we make phone inquiries, we make sure that we ask those questions. So it's exactly what we want. But we find, not all the time, but again, 10-15% of the time, there are people out there who are quite brazen in their preparedness to lie and misrepresent what's on offer. And then when you sort of hold them to account for it, they just shrug their shoulders and go, so what? Who cares? You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.